Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, I got a question for you. Do you remember what was going through your mind the moment that this happened? Was it hype? Was it the feeling of validation after years of people saying Banjo was a historically irrelevant IP that would never make it in? Maybe just pure excitement to play as the character in Smash? It certainly was a landmark moment in the history of video games. Even if you weren't a Smash fan or a Banjo fan, it was undeniably a big deal seeing this legacy IP that hasn't seen the light of day for over a decade suddenly getting the biggest spotlight in the gaming medium. I remember just how excited I was when Banjo got revealed, and there was nothing I could do because I was at work. This is when I still had my crap job. It was a slow day, so I'm like watching E3 on the clock like this. My supervisor rides in on his motorcycle and he comes in and he starts, I don't know, yapping about how awful the traffic was on the way in or something. And meanwhile Banjo was getting revealed. I'm like, To this day, I imagine he's probably glad that I'm gone. While Smash inclusions are incredibly fun in themselves with how much they bring to the table for Nintendo's crossover, character inclusions can be just as exciting for the potential they bring for their own series' future. I mean, isn't a Smash inclusion the perfect business opportunity to bring the IP back when it's so fresh in people's minds? When everyone got to witness and experience the internet's hype for the Baron Bird? Yeah, and so that got me thinking. We've had quite a lot of rumors over the years before and since Banjo's inclusion in Smash Ultimate. They tell us an interesting story about the struggle of bringing back the IP and the fans' undying hope. Perhaps this history and more recent leads might give us an idea of what to expect for the future. So join me as we go through the history of Banjo, leaks, and rumors together. But before we do that, if you could, hit that like button and subscribe, because it'll help these videos, and you're probably super sexy or something. I don't know if that's how I want to start my videos. It's how I did it with the last one, too, the Amiibo one. We also have a goal going on the Patreon right now that's going to help fund more Donkey Kong Country abridged episodes over on my other channel. So if you're interested in more content like this and more DK abridged, links are in the description below. Thank you for your support. Alright guys, so let's start with the thing that spawned this entire rumor mill into motion. The Banjo games themselves. The idea of Banjo 3E wasn't just some fan name for the next mainline console game in the series. It was name dropped at the end of Banjo-Tooie, matching Banjo-Kazooie's name drop of its sequel at the end of that game's story. I didn't have the games growing up because I didn't have an N64. That's just facts. I had a Super Nintendo and a GameCube. Somehow I completely missed over the N64. So I didn't actually get to experience these games until I was like, I don't know, it was early high school, I know that much. But I instantly fell in love, and I think that just kind of shows you the timelessness of Banjo-Kazooie. Especially that first game. That game just, I don't know, it just sets off all the right neurons in my funny place. Not that place. Up here and in here. Woof. The fact that the same year we had Space World 2000 showing off the GameCube and a bunch of tech demos that included a Banjo segment made folks sure that we were getting the goods this next generation. Such a shame we didn't see what was coming the following year. After Microsoft bought Rare, we would be in the perfect dark. I'm a funny man. It wouldn't be until the following generation when Banjo made his debut at Xbox with Nuts and Bolts launching for the Xbox 360. I played a little bit of Nuts and Bolts around the time that I was, really getting into the first two games, and, I mean, I know it's not what people wanted. I know it's not what people wanted out of the Banjo series at the time, but I don't know, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, I liked it for what it was. I didn't finish it though, so I don't know if that, maybe that says more than liking it a little bit. I don't know. Someday I'll go back and finish that game. Even though it's not really in the realm of Banjo that people had hoped for, I still feel like it kind of has its own little unique charm. It just, it was the wrong game at the wrong time, I think. Maybe if we had gotten Banjo 3E first and then they wanted to shake it up with something new, I don't know, maybe it would have fared a little better. But we have to acknowledge that the game didn't feel like a real Banjo game in terms of gameplay. Ironically, the disconnect with Nuts and Bolts caused fans to have an even more intense desire to see the real Banjo 3E. Ever since, we've seen a plethora of rumors on the next Banjo title, and the 2010s would be when things really started to heat up. Portable Banjo-Kazooie games were the first rumors to pop up. Even around the time when Nuts and Bolts was on the horizon, a Nintendo DS game serving as the sequel to the Game Boy Color title briefly caught the attention of fans before being debunked as a hoax. Touching is good? I know this is a fake ad, but that's not a fake slogan. No, somebody in Nintendo's marketing decided that that was something they could use during the DS era. I don't know if that's how I would do it. Touching your arsenal of abilities to help Banjo-Kazooie defeat Grunty once again and break her curse on the Isle of Hags. Touching is good, the arsenal. A fan asked Rare directly on Twitter in 2013 whether a remake of Banjo-Kazooie was possible following the Ocarina of Time 3D, and they actually responded, anything's possible, even if it's not very likely. While this comment certainly sounded rather sneaky, suspicious even, to folks who were looking for something to hope for, it ended up going nowhere. But the prospect of a 3DS Banjo definitely riled up quite a bit of discourse at the time. Understandably, gaming had a little bit of a different landscape around the time. I mean, Microsoft had freshly acquired Rare, although I guess at the time of the 3DS it had been maybe about 10 years or so, right? Maybe not quite. Or maybe, I don't know. So I don't know how likely Microsoft would have been to allow a Banjo-Kazooie remake for the 3DS to happen. Although Rare did work with Nintendo in some capacity around that time anyway. And you know what? Just forget my words. But honestly, it's crazy to think back and, think a little bit about just how different things could have been for the Banjo series had they put Banjo on the 3DS. Fans like me, who had been clamoring for Banjo, we might have been able to turn up and show Microsoft that, like, dude, there is still a demand. There's still a demand for Banjo. Bring it back! But then again, Smash Brothers did that too, and well, we see how that's gone ever since then. Never mind, Xbox is just that they love taking L's. Things would also heat up that same year with the lead up to E3. But this wasn't just any E3, folks. No sir. This was the E3 preceding the release of the Xbox One. Microsoft was already under pressure over the controversy surrounding the console's reveal, especially regarding the always online feature. Do any of you remember the deal with it guy? Adam Orth, a Microsoft executive at the time, flat out said to some random guy on Twitter concerned over the internet access being mandatory for their console. The guy got kicked out of Microsoft mere days after the incident because of how much things escalated. The hype for the PS4 picked up even more steam because of all of this. The Xbox brand was garnering a lot of negativity from the press and consumers alike. The pressure was real. Going into E3, they had to make it big and reveal the heavy hitters to win people back. And so, we had our first sign. We would hear from Phil Spencer, a higher up at Microsoft, that a legacy IP built by Rare would be coming back and revealed at E3. Oh boy, is it Christmas time? Are they finally bringing the jiggies, the jiggy bells? Merry Christmas to me, Banjo fan, man. Not long after, an alleged leak popped up in multiple forums and social media. Man, I kind of miss the days when, leaks looked like this. You had to put some, actual effort into, make it a fake leak. I mean, look at all this. Somebody had to put together all of these different, titles and artwork for it, and then try to make it look like they were getting some kind of sneaky snapshot of it, from off screen on their phone, oh, look at me, I'm a funny little leaker man. Nowadays, it's just AI shit. Look at you, Mario Titans. Anyways, the leaked image depicted a bunch of logos for the next big Microsoft reveals. You got your Halo 5, Fable 4, all the good stuff. But on the top left, oh, is that what I think it is? A BK Burger King Grunty Land logo using the familiar font for Banjo-Kazooie. At first, people were skeptical about this, but then came the reveals at E3 2013. While the legacy Rare IP turned out to be a reboot of Killer Instinct, we would see almost the entire rest of the image's leaked games revealed. Halo 5, check. Forza 5, check. Quantum Break, check. Halo Spartan Assault, a bada bing, a bada bingo. Even the questionable logo on the right said to be Dead Rising 3 showed up. We had only Fable 4 and Banjo-Kazooie Grunty Land missing. Fable 4 didn't show up, but curiously, an HD remaster of the first Fable was revealed at the show. Some saw this E3 as a sign that the leak might be real and that we had a new Banjo and Fable games to look forward to. Others started noticing the logo differences and concluded that some guy probably kept track of some copyright updates, rumors, and made a mock-up image as a fake leak. Turns out that image was indeed fake all along, unfortunately. It's a real shame having a leak like that feel like it's you know, so close to becoming real. It's so tantalizing. Only for all of it to go up in smoke because, well, some guy thought it would be funny. I remember around that time too, I think it was that E3 that I was tuned in. I was waiting to see if we were gonna get Banjo, and like honestly, the disappointment that I felt after it was a Killer Instinct. It was palpable. I know I'm not the only one who felt that way. I guess it is what it is. I hope Killer Instinct fans enjoyed that game. I never played it. 1 year later, we got Smash 4, with the usual rumors of Banjo's inclusion running hot on numerous forums. A lot of the speculation touched on Smash, bringing the perfect timing for the Banjo IP to make a comeback. By 2015, we've got the Smash ballot that gave fans something to hope for. But, well, we would have to wait a bit longer than expected to see that pay off. Surprisingly, Smash wasn't the only thing bringing hope to some fans of the Baron Bird since then. Out of the blue came a short-lived rumor of Disney being interested in making a Banjo movie to be written and directed by the Wreck-It Ralph team and released in 2018 to 2019. I actually had no idea that this was even a rumor at the time, but I know I would have been eating it up. It seems kind of silly in hindsight, you know, just like taking some random person's word at face value, you know, just some random tweet like, hey, they're making a Banjo movie, and then running with it. But, I mean, can you blame people? You know, Banjo fans, we've had it rough. People were just clamoring for like any chance, any semblance of a chance that maybe we would see something. So a Banjo movie? Sure, why not? What was far more highlighted came afterwards in 2018. Way beyond the hype cycle of Smash Ultimate on the horizon, there were increasing rumors stemming from code found on one of Xbox's databases referencing a Banjo 28. A Banjo 28? Well, it never happened, so they didn't get my money yet. Well, they do sell expensive statues, so I guess they are getting money somehow. It seemed like yet another perfect time for the Baron Bird's comeback, and fans looked at that string of code as an indication that Microsoft was preparing something for Banjo's 20th anniversary. Whether a new game, a remaster, or a remake of the original Banjo-Kazooie, people were excited that the IP would finally see the light of day after almost a decade since the last entry in the franchise. Rare finally announced their celebration of the anniversary, and to the dismay of fans, they were nothing more than merch and a new Sea of Thieves content honoring the Baron Bird. I remember this too. It was like, they just, I don't know, it was like a Banjo and Bird statue that you could staple onto your boat in Sea of Thieves. I think I played that game for like 20 minutes when I subscribed to Game Pass one time. It really wasn't for me. I just want Banjo. I want my Scrimblows. You might now have a better idea of how bleak things were by 2019. Smash Ultimate was the fandom's last hope for any sign of the IP seeing a return. Banjo's inclusion as DLC wasn't just a moment of joy for those who wanted the character in Smash, it was the saving grace for people hoping the franchise would get any new acknowledgement. It was a much bigger deal than many of the general gaming space had realized at the time. And so, with Ultimate including Banjo, everyone was sure that the franchise would finally have something on the horizon. After all, almost every single third-party inclusion in Smash had the original game coming back in some major form or a new title to look forward to, around the time of their inclusion. Let's be real here, guys. There's no bigger spotlight in the gaming medium than Super Smash Bros. The hype, the focus given to the IP, the marketing, the headlines, all of it just comes together in one big explosive viral moment with like every single reveal. I mean, every reveal hits, even the ones that people don't give a shit about. There's a couple of those, not naming any names, but more importantly to Banjo specifically, it provides validation to the IP holders. It shows that there's still an immense amount of people interested in the property. Most companies would do anything to have this kind of golden opportunity just handed to them on a silver platter, you know, so that way they can capitalize on it for future projects. Only some stupid idiots would not capitalize on that. Fans had reason to believe that there was even more on the way, with a listing appearing on Amazon Germany right after the Nintendo Direct was finished. It referred to a Banjo-Kazooie game for the Switch, not Xbox, the Nintendo Switch. Freaking crazy, right? What's even crazier is that despite people drawing attention to it for years, that listing is still up today if you look for it. What the fuck? There it is. I'm looking at it right now. They're just yanking my Piener Schnitzel. Since then, we've had some rumors popping up here and there, ranging from Double Fine Productions getting a shot at Banjo, to Platonic Games taking the reins back to the core creatives of the original titles. Many of those rumors got shut down publicly by the companies themselves on Twitter and in interviews. Really does seem like any chance that the bird and bear have it coming back, it just, I don't know, the cards of fate just tend to shoot it down. Banjo and Kazooie are the twin towers, and then the cards of fate are well, you know. That's bad. But none of these close calls were as close as the roller coaster of emotions that fans would experience in more recent times. In 2023, multiple news outlets reported on Phil Spencer commenting on how he hears Banjo fans when mentioning IPs people love that Microsoft hasn't quite explored yet. I don't know, man, you've had Banjo fans screaming in your ears for like, I don't know, 15 years or some shit like that. I feel like you'd have to be deaf not to hear them at this point. This discourse isn't new from Microsoft, which is what led fans to ask like why they should even listen to Phil Spencer here in the first place. Turns out we would see signs of them opening up to possibilities a few years later in 2025. Andy Robinson, the head of VGC, a notable outlet in the gaming journalism industry, would publicly acknowledge hearing from sources that Microsoft was finally listening to pitches for Banjo-Kazooie projects, and I quote, "The talk for ages was that, you know, there's always outside interests in Banjo, but they're not interested." I mean, Greg Mayles, the Banjo-Kazooie creator, is someone who doesn't look back. Notoriously, he said this on the record, that he likes to do new stuff. The attitude from the studio leadership was always, no, we're gonna do the new thing. I heard constantly the name that comes up is Toys for Bob, who really want to do one. Funny enough, I heard Moon Studios as well was another one who is really interested. There's always talk about interest of a cartoon or a movie. You know, constant. A movie, you say? Kinda makes you wonder if that Disney rumor was real at the end of the day. I don't know. The crazy timing with the Sea of Thieves movie being announced during the production of this video is pretty hilarious on its face, but it does echo the rumors of Rare wanting to bring their IPs to the big screen. Maybe there was some credence to those rumors of Disney getting their hands on the bird and the bear man. Whatever the case may be, I mean, I've seen the rumors myself. I've seen Toys for Bob talk straight up about wanting to take hold of the bear and bird. They're working on Spyro right now, so I mean, even if they do end up getting a hold of Banjo, it's probably gonna be a while, but I'd like to see it. I think they could handle it. I really like what they did with Crash 4. I know it's divisive for some people, but honestly, that was the game that finally made Crash click for me, and I went back and played the original trilogy and ended up really loving those games. And I've really enjoyed what they've done with Spyro too, you know, with the trilogy, and I don't know, this new one, I'm sure it's probably gonna be pretty cool too. So yeah, Banjo. I don't know if I would want to see them remake the original games at this point. I think it'd be cool to get, just a new game out of them. I feel like there's something to be said there about the way that the industry handles these platformer franchises. Maybe we'll save that for another day. The juiciest turn of events would come from the most famous leaker in the industry this decade, Nate the Hate. Love him or hate him, the man has the best track record among industry insiders so far, nailing reveals of new projects as recently as Nintendo's 2026 projects with Ocarina of Time and the Star Fox remake. Leading up to E3 2022, Nate's podcast dropped a bombshell with MBG stating that there was in fact a Banjo title already in development. Something Nate himself confirmed not long after the podcast at Reset Era. By late 2023, Nate would double down on the project's existence, claiming it was greenlight in early 2022, and that there was still a lot to be done, subject to significant changes to concepts, designs, and such. Getting some actual, like, concrete updates and development updates, I guess, about this thing. It was really surreal to see. Especially coming from the Hate man. I'm not so crazy about how he's been handling leaks lately, but, there was a time where I enjoyed that. And so the possibility of getting our first Banjo game in over 15 years, well, it was tantalizing. It was mouth-watering. And, well, a few months later, Nate would elaborate on what he knew, saying the Banjo project had to be reworked from its original vision and scope. He didn't verbalize it here, but reading between the lines tells us how much this bit of news signaled development challenges behind the scenes. While it's true he would give some reassurance the restarted development was for the better, the idea of a Banjo game facing challenges before even being unveiled was already enough to scare some people. What if all this falls through and the whole thing gets canceled?
Bill didn't help things by saying, hey, Banjo fans, we hear you. I specific. I got tagged a lot in that one.
We hear you, but we don't care.
yeah, that's what it sounds like. So, I mean, my guess is there will eventually be a Banjo-Kazooie game. I just can't imagine that they won't do it. Is it already in works and all that? I have no idea. No one's hinted to me, said anything.
It's not.
But there you go.
Yeah, Jazz is very much of the opinion it will never come. You'll never get a new one.
I mean, I don't know, never. I don't know if never, but I can tell you right now, categorically, there is no Banjo game in development as of this podcast on the 26th of June, 2024. There is no Banjo game in development right now.
What you just heard was from Jez Corden, I hope I said that right, a lead editor for Windows Central, a Microsoft-focused publication. That was the first major ice drop on fans, hopeful of Nate's rumors. Was it really all bogus? The worst part of all of this wasn't even the rumor itself, it was the silence from Nate the Hate on Banjo for almost a full year after that podcast. Why? Why would you do this? Nate the Hate? More like, I hate you. Really just coming up with some zingers today. On July 2nd, 2025, Nate would give his final update on the Banjo product. Tragic, isn't it? With recent news coming out of Microsoft on studios like Ninja Theory being closed, you start to wonder if things look pretty dire, not just for the Baron Bird. Heck, during the writing of this video script, a report came out from Reuters suggesting Microsoft is considering spinning off Xbox entirely, among multiple other options. You have to wonder where Rare is going to end up in all this. I'll be frank with you guys, I didn't want to end this video on a sad note, but I mean, I guess that's just kind of the current state of the gaming industry right now. I'm not sure how much of a plea I can make to anyone from Microsoft that might stumble upon this video. Nintendo aside, the AAA business has been aggressively pushing for different types of experiences and franchises that leave little room for Banjo to find a proper spot to shine. This isn't a problem solely reserved for Banjo, of course. That's a topic for another video to cover soon. Maybe, possibly. But this was a special problem for Banjo because of the numerous unfortunate circumstances surrounding it from a corporate sense. Circumstances that made Banjo much harder to bring back than any other platformer in the industry. I mean, for God's sake, even fucking Bubsy made it back of all the goddamn platformers. And the crazy part, the game is good! It's a good game! Oh! In the end, I can't help but notice how tragically bittersweet Nintendo's treatment of Banjo's legacy turned out to be. The original Banjo-Kazooie revolutionized the 3D platformer by pioneering collectathon design in the third dimension. Banjo would undeniably stay relevant to Nintendo for decades as a result. Smash Ultimate's inclusion was the perfect timing for Microsoft to bring Banjo 3E to life. The missed potential here has evidently reached biblical proportions. Yet, beyond the sheer love given to the Baron Bird and Smash Brothers, there was an arguably sweeter way that Banjo has been kept alive with a longer lasting impact. Nintendo EPD8 decided to take a serious risk and go for a departure to their biggest IP by taking pages from Banjo-Kazooie's 3D collectathon design in Super Mario Odyssey. And to bring this home thematically, it really is almost cathartic to see Banjo-Kazooie's design philosophy finding just one more moment in the spotlight with Donkey Kong of all franchises. The IP that Banjo used to share a universe with, the IP that Rare played a pivotal role in immortalizing for generations, Donkey Kong Bonanza in many ways perfected the collectathon design that Mario Odyssey kickstarted at Nintendo. But it might also be seen as the Kong perfecting the legacy that the Baron Bird left behind for years to come. Definitely a little bittersweet ending to it here. Banjo lives on in spirit, even through Donkey Kong. How about that? With all that said, I gotta pass it off to you guys, you know, do you still hold on to any kind of hope at all that maybe we'll get Banjo 3 someday? I gotta be honest, I go into just about every Xbox presentation with like this, just this teensy weensy little sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll surprise us. It's never enough hope to walk away from it disappointed. I mean, you can't walk away disappointed if you never had big expectations to begin with. But it does make you wonder just what the hell is going on over there at Microsoft. Clearly, with the leadership shakeup, they're kind of wondering the same thing themselves. They know it's time to shake things up, so I hope that means that Banjo can maybe be a part of that. I guess we'll see. I feel like Toys for Bob is like the last stand that we have, you know, of people fighting for Banjo. I feel like they've frequently come out and said, like, we want Banjo too! So I hope that they get the chance to do it. But anyway, that's enough yapping for me. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new. Once again, if you like this kind of video, let me know in the comments below and consider supporting me on Patreon. It's going to allow more videos like this one to exist, so I hope you'll consider supporting. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.